Right, guys, welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast. My name's Adam, and as always, joined by Baker. How you doing, mate?
I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. I feel like a little worse than Sunday in that I was sort of sitting back while, you and Alon were talking wild cards, and I was like, I'm definitely not on wild card. I've had quite a lot of injuries since then, so it's not 100% sure that I won't be, but we can talk about that. How's the tinkering been going?
Yeah, it's been interesting when I've been finding time to do so. But yeah, obviously with the FA Cup sorting itself out, giving us those fixtures now in game week 29, that helps. It makes things a lot easier. But it has meant that certain paths just appear to be unrealistic. And I listen to people talking about, I can take a -4 and then a -8 and then a -8 and I'll have 10 in game week 29. I'm like, that sounds fucking stupid. Why do you take that? Like, I just can't get my head around why you'd want to take that many hits for a game week that really is pretty crap. And I'd probably rather just burn a chip. Like, I'd almost rather burn a chip, just get the best players in those fixtures and then get the best score you can possibly get and get out the other side of it and start focusing on the rest of the game weeks. That's kind of my view of it now.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I do think that in the general community, I think people underplay having players play like for free. Like, so a free hit. Like, I know there's a lot of talk at the moment about, like, if you've got 5 or 6, you're okay. Effectively, if the 5 others just play and turn up and get 2 pointers, it's 10 points. Like, it's a big deal. But hopefully you can still pick enough. Like, I know there is when there's a small amount of teams playing each other, you're like, well, but something might happen.
I think there's enough.
Something might happen. Do you know what I mean?
I think four's enough. I think four's enough for it to be interesting, and there are some lopsided games there.
And loads of bad defense. Everyone's like, the defense is bad. Defenses are really, really bad. That's quite exciting.
Cool. Get 8 forwards or get 7 big forwards and away you go.
Having the best 8 attackers for that week is a good deal. I still think,
And then you can pick one team, right? You can pick one team to punt on at the back, and it doesn't have to be a good team. But if they turn up and get a clean sheet and you rack up like 20 odd points from your back line just out of nowhere, you're beating everyone who's just rolling in there with 7 players. Like, literally, you've just beaten everybody by a mile.
I've been working towards the fact that I won't free hit, and I still could be in that position, but I don't think I want to commit to that I'll be no free hit, because if you've only got, say, I could get to 9 with 1 hit, but who's to say like that all of them will play? I've lost 4 players this week.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
So imagine you overput your eggs in those baskets in 27, 28, for example, and then suddenly it doesn't happen. Then it's worse all round. So Big day for pressers tomorrow. Big day potentially for leaks on Saturday, especially around our Spurs boys.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I mean, the Solanke news isn't ideal, although being on a wild card, I prefer it, right? I prefer there to be a little bit of madness there. Could be interesting because if he gets confirmed as out, what are people doing with him? Because like people have just got him, right? People have just already got him.
Yes.
So if you're not on a wild card, you taking him out before the double?
No. As soon as that news come out tonight that sort of says like it's not as bad as first feared, then it's very, very difficult no matter what we find out from the presser tomorrow. If the presser says, touch and go for the weekend, and I don't expect tomorrow that we get like full confirmation because the game's a Sunday game.
Yeah.
So chances are there'll be
a training session on Saturday morning and we'll see how it goes.
I bet you it's like the 9:30 presser as well. Because they're getting on with their day. It's quite often when they're the Sunday games, they'll come out and do it really early in the morning and clear off. And it's a big day for training, 2 days before a game. So I suspect we'll get something and they'll say, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
It's very important for us. We'll have to see.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a few in the chat this evening already. Hello to all of you. We've got just over 120 people, so that's good. People are saying -4 to get 9 players. Cool. That's good for you. I mean, obviously these are all like the buzzword, team dependent, da. So, you can. This is why we don't always look at the chat. Adam's hair grows so fast. Like that's just thrown.
It does grow so fast.
It does grow.
You know that though.
Ridiculously
it does grow so fast.
Yeah. So whatever works best for you is going to be what you want to do. I fancy just going hell for leather at it. So, when you're saying I've got Charlie Taylor, I mean, like, okay,
exactly.
Like,
my 9 doesn't count Kabore, by the way. So technically, I've got 10.
Okay, right, yeah, fair enough.
If he plays,
yeah. I mean, it's difficult for. I think it's really difficult to get a team out that you'd be happy with.
Yeah.
So
100%.
If you're -4 for 9, then you're already 8 points down, minimum.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you want out of your free hit? Like, what's it worth?
Yeah, but I do think, if you're covering the cost of about 15 points, for example, so if you're paying 15 points basically by like 2 players and a -4, I feel like that's about okay. Like I do value a free hit normally as about that kind of number. I do think, the other problem is with the free hit thing is we don't know what we're comparing it with, do we? If the 34 double was in, we'd be able to say, nah, actually, I like it. I reckon I can game myself in, but it's not in.
It's not in, and some of those FA Cup fixtures could go either way. And
could they? Can Man United beat Liverpool?
Well, maybe not. Well, they probably have a go at their kids. I don't know how that sounds. That sounded terrible. I don't know what that
sounded terrible.
It just sounded like the worst thing ever. I mean, like Leicester could take Chelsea.
It could.
Yeah, there's opportunity. There's opportunities there. There's opportunities there, and then there's all the, the jazz about some of the rearranged fixtures and how they're all going to fit in. If you haven't done so already, like James Planet FPL did a fantastic pod earlier on with a lot of permutations in there. A lot of thoughts. So, make sure you're focusing on that when you're listening to it. Try not to do it when you're like trying to work or something like that because you'll get distracted from one of them.
We're not the pod, and you're going to get it everywhere. Like I don't want to be another pod that we're also going to go through those. One, because we just learn our stuff off them anyway. And secondly, like it's hard, isn't it? Like in the midweek, trying to work it out to get it all out for the weekend, it's tough. It's tough. So you're a wildcard.
I am on wildcard. Before we get to wildcard, just a quick look at the leagues that we've got going on this season. So we've got a main league, The cup is starting this week or started last week. I'm probably out already, which is cool. I don't know. I haven't checked. But Henry Thornycroft is topping that. Variance FC, currently ranked 21 in the world. He will do very well to equal our top best ever finish, which was number 1. That's the person in our league, not either of us. And 1,769 points, just smashing it. And then over in the Discord League, so in order to be in the Discord League, then you need to be part of our Patreon, patreon.com/above average FPL with monthly prizes and weekly games and stuff like that, as well as the chat that we do on Discord. So Urky's smashing that to pieces at the moment. I noticed just before we started that Urky is in the Discord League, but he's not in the main league. He'd actually be 3rd in that league, but he's like, fuck that. I don't care about that league. I just want to be in the Discord League and smash it up. And he's winning that by 108 points. So he's just ranked just outside the top 100.
Let's go.
These are ridiculous numbers, man. I'm like 270 points behind Henry.
So many points.
Okay, so on a more positive note, we've got the golf day coming up. And so we've just started reaching out now to those that are already confirmed to pay balances and stuff like that. So that's good. So that's all starting to work. And, we've still got a few spaces open. So, if you're interested, we're doing it at Donington Grove Golf Club, just outside of Newbury on the 19th of April this year. Get in touch with me if you want more details. This is mainly for those that are listening, because if you're watching, you can see the itinerary on the screen. I got today.
Show us.
The party bucket.
Bucket.
See, this is. I even have to hold on. I have to actually go back to this view because you have to see this properly.
Fireball party buckets, mate.
The fireball party buckets. There are 20 of these bad boys in there. They will be. I've got 2 buckets as well, by the way. The plan is to use them across both golf days, but they will be they'll be on the golf course. So if you're coming down, they'll be there. There's a reason why they're there.
Above average golf balls.
Above average golf balls. So you might see that in the top, just above Harry's head there. So we've got above average golf balls as well. We're living the dream, mate. This is what we dreamed of.
Right. Adam is a serious golfer.
Was.
Still serious, mate. You're still serious. I've played with you. You're serious. I'm not so much, right? Anybody that wants to come, like, even with your bandit handicaps, do whatever you want, like, not official handicaps, tell us whatever. It's fun. Like, this, no one's done this, as far as I'm aware. Certainly not at this, a full day of what we're doing. So anybody wants to get involved, get involved.
Yep. Please do. And then we're planning on doing like an after golf social in Newbury as well. So I was just thinking about this with the FA Cup games. I think it's unlikely we'll get a game on the Friday night.
Oh, damn.
Just because it's FA Cup weekend, I just don't know whether we'll get one on the Friday night because there's not that many Premier League fixtures, are there? But we'll see. We might do. Depends on how game week 29 goes, I guess.
Exactly.
But drop me a message or drop an email to justabovetheaverageFPL@gmail.com, and we'd love to have you along and come play some golf, basically. And that's all I've got. So where do we want to go next?
Should we do this week's games first?
Yeah, let's do that.
We reveal all.
Yep. So as always, the wonderful Rob T graphic from his SpreadX odds, looking at basically expected goals and expected chance of clean sheet within the game week. Lovely picture of Bukayo Saka there, who's obviously smashing it at the moment. Arsenal being the standout fixture of the week, you'd say. I mean, would you have them as a standout fixture away from home, or was it for a City there? What do you reckon?
Yeah. I mean, look,
it's hard not to when they've just smashed about 25 goals in the last 5 games.
Yep. It's hard not to. It is hard not to. There was a study a long time back, so I'm not sure how much it plays out now, but it was showing that basically, if any time the underdog ever had a chance, it was Monday Night Football. it tends to produce lower scoring games and it tends to produce more upsets than any other time in what they play. Now, obviously, it's quite low samples and all those type of stuffs. But I do think there is something always about that last game of the game week where it's like, especially when it's a Monday night one, it's like you never quite know what's coming out of it. Obviously we've seen this week with West Ham, it can do the other way.
Yeah.
Is like it can happen, but yeah, look, we all expect from this game an Arsenal clean and probably Arsenal score 3 goals. So expected 2.9 and 0.65 for Sheffield United. That feels pretty bang on, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much.
I think almost Sheffield United would take 3-0 right now.
Please let it stop. The game hasn't even started yet. Yeah. I mean, I don't think
home games have been killing them, haven't they? The Sheffield United as well. Like it's been even worse the results that they've seen when they're at home. So it's just bad. While we're doing this, by the way, in the chat, we should say Kieran FPL Discomfort gifted some memberships out. Thank you very much.
Shout out to you, Kieran. Thank you very much for that. That's wonderful. You don't get anything for a gifted membership other than we can see your chats and we'll read them out as a priority, basically.
It's green.
So there you go. Green means I'll read it out. More likely to read it out.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah. Have you considered capping Saka this week?
I have. I think he's a perfectly reasonable captaincy option. And as you said right at the start there, like having the cap right at the end of the game week, like it's just one of those you can just sit and watch you can know that your week is never as bad as you think it might be because you've got your captain at the end. And
we'll be dramatic all week. Oh my God, I'm only on this.
Yeah. Wow, I'm already on a 100k green arrow and I've still got my captain to come. That kind of thing. It could be fun. It could be a massive score. They are ruthless right now.
We've talked about it, both sides. It's almost like a bad thing though. Sometimes it's when both sides are working. Like Kai and Martinelli are working down that left-hand side, so they could easily combine for 3 goals between them. Odegaard and Saka could easily combine for 3 goals between them. Rice seems to be involved in everything.
Yeah,
the defenders getting all of those types of things is like you can still see a 6 goal and only one of them be Saka. But he's been so consistent.
Did I see it earlier? Was it LR that said it? That Arsenal scored like 1.25 set piece goals per game in the last 6. Like what even is that?
Yeah, I think there's an article in this Athletic this week that was saying about like almost is it like too reliant on it right now?
Yeah,
I don't know
because if you're effective, man.
Yeah, they feel just dominant all over the park, mate. There's nothing that feels bad watching. No,
it's just like, well, there's clearly, you clearly can't stop us at the moment. So why would they change doing the things that work?
Yeah,
like there's no reason to change anything, and I don't know what. I was looking at Luton earlier for set pieces conceded XG, but I don't think Sheffield United are that terrible from a set piece XG perspective conceded, but. I mean,
I feel like the stocks it's just going up with Arsenal and even the game West Ham Brentford on Monday night, like they're home to Brentford next week. Like, would I be surprised if Arsenal scored 5 this week and 5 next week?
Yeah, they could just keep banging in 5 goals.
It's something for you, like especially for you, if you're free hitting. There's an argument. There's an argument that you just go Odegaard and Saka. Thanks very much. Because. I'd be amazed if they don't score 3 goals this week and 3 goals next week. I'd be almost amazed if they didn't get 10 goals between their next 2 games.
Yeah. That's a lot of goals. That's a lot of goals. And I remember speaking to Alon at the start of the season. He's like, when you're talking about things like, particularly like captaincy and stuff, like where are the games where, like, I don't care about the fixtures so much. And maybe this leans into why he didn't have Hwang last week, obviously. But like, I don't care about like the good fixtures as such. I want to know who's going to score 4 goals this week. Like, because that's where I want to focus my transfer, focus my captaincy, focus my attention on. the problem is that Arsenal seem to be that team every single bloody week now.
Every single week.
It's painful, but useful from an FPL perspective, obviously.
Really is.
But there's no reason why City can't be that team this week. Like, I know it's not even like in the midweek we can turn around and say, oh, well, City played championship side. Well, basically a championship side, but, this Premier League team, they played a Premier League team away from home and just racked up, scored 5 goals. Well, how many did they score? 6. They win 6-7?
6-2.
6-2, was it?
6-2. Kevin Haaland. just absurd. Yeah. Just absurd. When it was just like every single one. It pops up, didn't it? I was watching it, but I was getting the notifications first, and it's almost coming up.
Your sofa score broken or something like that, because it keeps telling me the same thing over and over again. No, they've just done it again. They've just done it again.
Yes. It's scary. It's scary. I don't think we'd ever see an expected difference that we would for a Manchester derby. 2.7 by 0.9.
Yeah. That's
obviously they hammered them last season.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to talk about, obviously, Son and Saka as cap options.
Again, it's that involvement, though. It's that involvement, right? We go back to the involvement. So you say City 2.7. Let's call it 3. Let's just call it 3.
Yeah.
Like Haaland will likely get 2 of those returns. Might even get all 3. Right?
Yes.
So we'll put that there. Let's say Arsenal here score 4. Let's because they're exceeding everything at the moment. Let's say they score 4. Saka probably involved in 1-2 himself. That could be 2 goals, could be a goal and assist. Maybe 3. I mean, he might, but I still think there's more diversity in the way that Arsenal's team scores points, right? So we see that like Havertz obviously scored last week, and like Trossard gets in there and gets stuff. Odegaard scored recently. Saka's obviously scoring. Rice is all over. And then I haven't even mentioned the centre backs, right? So there's so many. It's like the opposite of routes to points. It's like the players had the ability to get points. There's more of them in Arsenal than you feel like in City. It still feels very, very funneled at City. It's like Haaland, De Bruyne, Foden, and then like someone, but he might get a scrap somewhere.
Yeah.
So I still think Haaland this week for me. I think I'm probably, because of that, I'm going to go there.
It's the fact that he can score 4. It is that, isn't it? Like when you're looking at this, I'm like, yeah, but if you're taking on a striker that potentially scores the 1 goal and gets the bonus and walks home with 9 points, like I don't necessarily fear that when I've got a midfielder that's got a good game, because Saka, if he scores and they clean, just by the essence of that, like he's already there on the points, and obviously if he gets any bonus, which he often is, then he's kind of matching that. So it's like, I mean, he needs 1 goal to match Haaland, but it's what if he scores 4?
Yeah.
And all I've been watching with Haaland is that he's been a bit scratchy around a lot of the finishes, but he just wasn't scratchy at all against our Luton ones. That like the dink in the corner, you're like, oh no, all rust has gone. I'm back. And then the robot is fully difficult.
Oiled and ready to go. He's back.
Yeah, greased up robot.
So
last week I was sitting here with Saka Cap, and I bottled it because I just thought Haaland would get the chances, and he did get the chances, but he didn't score. He just got his little assist. This week I'm currently in the same boat where I'm like, I want a captain Son.
There's just so much. So the problem with this week for Tottenham is obviously that we've had no. Yeah, we thought it was a good thing. Did we think it was a good thing? I don't. Well, the 2 weeks was a good thing, but the lack of communication and like visibility of what's going on, we thought was a good thing, but actually people are just injured behind the scenes, and it's just really frustrating.
And even if they're not, so what we know is, look, Destiny is quite obviously fine.
Yeah.
And I think he's permanently been fine Like I don't. I know he basically said, "Oh, he's
Just
just only just out of the game last time." I think he's been fine this whole break.
yeah, yeah. Bit of ice on his knee, wasn't it, at the end of the game, and he's probably been fine.
We know that we're not seeing like Porro is much more not seen at all compared to Rich. Rich one is a weird one. So Porro, the only thing I've seen of Porro is him arriving on one day and did the old it's in the game
Oh
FIFA
yeah.
thing. But that's it. I did notice he went up the stairs looking quite, fleet of foot, didn't look like a big issue, any of that stuff. Um, but he's definitely in complete rest mode. Like he's not doing any gym work, he's doing nothing. Richarlison is the weird one because he's set doing Instagram pictures of himself in the gym. They did the bit in the boot room and he's in the boot room and he's acting all normal. He seemed even on that, it's in the game thing, he looks life and soul of the party. So everything looks like he's fine, but then they go out on the pitch and he's not there.
Yeah. He's not there. He's not on the gym board, which we saw as well. So
it's just weird that it's weird that you wouldn't be on the gym board, you wouldn't be on the out, but you would be in the boot room. Like
yeah. But I don't know. Did we talk? I don't know whether we talk. I think we talked about this offline, but off pod, offline. That's such a work thing. Off pod. But watching. So I watched Stephen Hendry's Q-tips with Madison, and he was talking a lot about his injury, and more to the point of like what does he do on a day-to-day basis, and Madison made a good point about how he's just completely off schedule with the rest of the guys. Now that might be different if you're in a long-term injury, I guess. But one thing he did say, we haven't mentioned this, but one thing he did say was that if you haven't seen it, is that the physio area it has a glass window out to the training pitches.
Yeah. I saw you've seen that. If you watch the All or Nothing, you can see it, and they all look like miserable looking out.
Exactly. So
the
idea there is that you get this desire to go back onto the pitch so you recover quickly, or something like that. I'm sure it's psychological like that. But anyway, I don't know whether Richarlison is just obviously a minor injury, which keeps him on this roughly the same schedule as the team, of the rest of the squad, compared to a major injury. But just not seeing him on the pitch or anything like that. I mean, for someone that hasn't got him and is wildcarding and looking at now how many Spurs do I want, like Richarlison's nowhere near my radar.
Can't be. Yeah. Can't be because there has to be a reason for the rest. There has to be a reason. Even if it's a case of obviously he had his operation, even if it's they want to give him some rest. Like they've worked, don't forget, we have massively overworked for Richarlison, and had to lean on him. So maybe they are just resting him to try and get him back. But it doesn't really matter. Like from a fan's perspective, we would say from completely non-FPL world, let him rest.
Yeah.
Prep real hard for the Palace game and have been practicing exactly what you want to do with the team that you want to put out for that game. So unfortunately, me as a Porro and Richarlison owner, what I expect we will do in that game is Destiny will play left, Dragusin, Romero, and Van der Ven will all play. Whether that's Dragusin's technically the inverted right back or whether that's Romero, I don't think it matters because all it means is, and we've talked about this before on the pod, is we need everyone in attack needs a third person so the centre backs can split wider. Now, if Dragusin sits in the middle and the two centre backs go wider, great. That works. Is effectively one of our midfielders, like a Sarr, for example, then plays the Porro role as the inverted fullback. That's fine. I think they'll be fine. And then you've got Son who can play up top, and you've still got Timo, Kulusevski, and Johnson, who we know are all fit and are like they'll fill two of the wing spots.
Yeah,
doesn't feel to me like there's any reason on earth why Ange should play Porro or Richarlison, which is a disaster for me.
Yeah.
But
I think you'll find out tomorrow, right? I mean, like Ange is it does tend to give you the information you need.
I think if he says Porro is fine, you still have to think Porro plays because he's so important to the team. I think even if he says Richarlison's fine,
There's just too many
it
options.
it just
There's a
doesn't
lot
feel
of
like
options.
it doesn't feel like good management that you'd have a 2 week break and then pick a team off a guy that's not been doing the stuff.
Yeah. Agreed.
Doesn't feel
Agreed.
like good management at all, you know. Um, Unless he was like so standout. We all know Son's the better nine anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
The thing on Palace is obviously they're playing like a 3-4-3. If there's uh, I was contemplating before I came on here because I was like, oh, currently got my armband on Son. Um, we're not good against 3-4-3. We're not good against three at the back teams because we haven't got a lot of big boys. Um, that's that has been our kryptonite most of the season. Is Wolves are the blueprint. You know, they literally did that to us. Everyone else, but Brentford did it against us. You know, we obviously have scored against those teams. So do I think that Son's still a really good asset for this week? Yes, but um, that's been a problem for us. It's a worry.
Fair enough. Do you play into the fact that Son loves playing Palace as well?
Oh yeah, I do definitely on
Yeah.
that. Definitely 100% on that. He
we're,
does
we're,
love playing
we're
Palace.
all on that as well. Cool. Okay. I guess moving on, I guess Liverpool's probably the next team to talk about. It's
I mean, if you've got Bradley, you still play him. If you've got Van Dijk, you play him. If you've got any of them, you still play him. But
we don't know about Salah yet, though, do we?
yeah,
Like, do you
how do
think
you?
it's like I ask this question because the models love Salah over
Mm.
Haaland, like as a one or the other option. But I just can't bring myself to think that somebody that's not 100% fit is going to be better than somebody that is fit. Right?
Mate,
Um,
you've just. I
it
mean,
doesn't make any sense.
I
They've
feel
just
like you
won.
said it for yourself, mate. Like that you're staring into Son against Palace, who we love playing against Palace, but you still think Haaland's the best captain.
Yeah, this is true.
I think that makes
Yes,
your mind up, mate, on that one.
but do you think, like, if we got a leak saying Salah was going to start, like, do you think he's a good option on wildcard for people who want to for people who are sitting on wildcard? Maybe it doesn't work for me. That's my opinion on it.
I think the thing on wildcard and the sexy part of Salah is that nobody else will have him. It can't help but not distract you. Do you know what I mean? Is when you're on wildcard because you're like, well, in a way, if Salah comes back and bangs, it's like justification for the wild card. Do you know, like when you post wild card and stuff like that, there's always just a million Twitter threads of, oh, wildcard 27 won, wildcard 28 won, wildcard like people are just convinced that's the win, and it's because they have such a desire to say they won.
Yeah,
And the way in which you can win on wildcard, potentially win on wildcard 27 is by getting Salah in. But because that feels slightly different than the Watkins, Solanke, Haaland.
yeah.
But
Because you have to
but
sacrifice, right? I mean, you cannot do like it's so difficult to get them both in, like, to the point where you
yeah,
can't have Son or Watkins becomes basically Semenyo or Morris or something rubbish.
undoubtedly, Mo is just incredible. We know he's incredible. Like every time he's just like when he came back,
12 points off the bench. Yeah,
yeah, just immediate. You know, is if he's fit, he scores points. Um, you're going to need a plan. So I think regardless, you need a plan.
yeah, yeah.
But do I think I would do it this week? Nah, I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure I would. Just because, like, Liverpool are open at the back. They are still really accessible. Like Chelsea should have scored a lot of goals against Liverpool last weekend. Um, Man City, when they play them next week, I'd be amazed if Man City don't score 2 goals against Liverpool next week. So they've, in my mind, like from a Man City perspective, they've got 2 good fixtures.
That is true. If you look at it, and if you look at it defensively as well, if you go like which is the better defense, you know that City's defense is better, and
Yeah.
you know that whilst Liverpool, like even in the first game, right, in the first game, and most of the games recently, like City do well at controlling the game, right? They control the ball, they control territory, da 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 da. Liverpool break and counter, and like this is where like City's weaknesses. So it's almost perfect. Makes for a great game of football because one of Liverpool's biggest strengths is their ability to counter against poor defenses, and like when they do it against City, it just works as well. So
I think
it could be back
you
and forth,
can,
but I would trust maybe the City defense slightly more than I would the Liverpool one.
yeah.
Especially if
I
Alisson's
think
still out.
I think there is ways still of getting there. I haven't worked this through with the math to work it out, but I feel like if you went for, say, a Morris at Luton instead of Watkins, I think Watkins has to be the full guy.
Yeah,
I think he has to be the full guy in this, especially if you're going to free hit 29. He has to be the full guy. So if you can pull 3 million quid out there, and then you don't have, say, a Madison or an Odegaard or someone like that. You have Palmer and somebody else almost as cheap.
you need Darg
know,
or Garnacho, don't you? Basically, to facilitate that.
something like that.
It's so difficult otherwise. Honestly, it's so hard.
Yeah,
because you say like drop 3 million out of your midfield, out of your striker, right? And then to like if you drop 3 million, that means that you essentially going from a 10 million player to Salah or a 10.2 million player to Salah. Like you still need to find another 2 million. You said Odegaard, right? 8 million or whatever he is. Like you still need to find another 2 million to get there.
Yeah,
and there's quite a few that are like. There's quite a few that suggestions around. People have still got like Van Dijk and stuff, so maybe you drop him to like a Branthwaite or something like that, right?
Yeah,
and you just get that done. But yeah, you have to sacrifice to get there. You're sacrificing Van Dijk. Well, say in that scenario, right? You're sacrificing Van Dijk and Watkins for Salah.
And then in order to do it, you've got to be really confident that you're going to cap him. And I don't think it's just cap him. I think it's cap him soon. So it'd be like, I'm capping him this weekend, which you're not going to do. And you're not going to cap him next weekend.
And then he blanks.
And then he blanks. So you move into 30 and you're like, okay, do I go Son v Luton or do I go Salah v Brighton? And that's not like, you want it to be a complete disparity of like, he's so far removed from the clear person you want to do. And he's not still, I think there'll still be a lot of people do Haaland at home to Arsenal, even though like that feels madness. But by the time you get to 31 and it's home to Sheffield United, you're like, I want that one. I want that one. Albeit, even in that week, Saka's got Luton.
Yeah, there's options.
Villa defence is shaky as hell, and Haaland's against Villa. So, there'll be, even in his big standouts, 30-31, there's options.
Yeah. Okay, we need to fire through the rest of the games if we're going to look at anybody else. Is there any other games that are of interest here? So with the ones we haven't done yet, Brentford, Chelsea. I mean, play Palmer is probably
very much play. But I like
play them all actually. Play Tony. Play Probably play maybe play Reguilon if you have to. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Like you technically, what this week is saying is you don't want to be playing defenders from Brentford, Chelsea, Fulham, Brighton, obviously Forest, obviously Luton, effectively. That one. So your Doughties. I know it's a home game, but it doesn't look like you want to be playing that this week. You do want to be playing your City defenders, which is a good thing for me, actually, just looking at it, because obviously Ake, I haven't really been considering starting him, but I'm just looking at this and thinking, Ake over Porro, or even Ake as a replacement for Richarlison, if somehow Porro and Solanke are okay. Ake is very much
Yeah,
a fine play this week. That's okay, providing he's playing, obviously.
Pepper bench him.
But you don't want to be really playing. Oh, I think you can still play Brand Fight if you needed to over a fair number of defenses this week. Newcastle Wolves, you want a bit more from these odds. Wolves with 1.3. Mind you, I imagine that will probably drop with Wang out.
Yeah, probably.
But let's have that conversation then quickly. Then for those that have got them, because you won't have them.
No.
This Dub and Areola.
Probably Dub. I'd probably play Dub now. Like, just because the Hwang injury's big, right? They only really got, so it's Neto and Sarabia are their front two, and they're going to play what, Bellegarde maybe?
Yeah.
But then like Bellegarde's is it? I haven't seen much of him play, but he's like a less greasy Adama Traore, right? Basically,
it's just not as greasy.
Yeah. So
it's not as greasy, and we like.
So he's not gonna be hugely. I say he's not going to be hugely impactful. Didn't he score in the first game against us? I keep forgetting players that scored in games against us.
Everyone scores against us, mate.
Yeah, that's also true.
It's no biggie.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I just think Dubravka at home. I think if there's a game that's going to be better, it has to be this game, right? And Newcastle, they're teetering on the edge at the moment. Like the fans are starting to start demanding better.
Yeah, it's a big lift as well for Dub. Penalty shootout, good save to win it. Do you see those penalties the other night? They were all Dub and was it Pairs on the other side? Like they were about 5 yards off their line for every penalty. They didn't care.
Yeah,
they were just running at the guys.
Matter. Didn't matter.
Yeah, I think I'll play Dub over Areola, but I think there'll be a lot more play Areola over Dub. I think that'll be fine against the grain.
That's mainly because Everton can't score goals.
Mm-hmm.
But how do Wolves score goals without forward players that? Well, I don't know. If Aït-Nouri keeps crossing it into Sarabia, then
they'll do their business.
Yeah. Bournemouth here. I mean, 1.8 away from home to Burnley, 1.25. I mean, if you've got your Burnley defender, if you've got your Bournemouth defender already in, I think there's obviously probably or your Neto. But I mean, I think I play Neto over Dub or Areola or whoever else.
If you were planning on bringing Neto in for next week, would you do it a week early over a Dub or Areola?
Yeah, probably. Probably just get it. I mean, I wouldn't do it for a hit. I mean, if you've planned it so you're not going to hit him in. If you planned it so he's a free transfer, then obviously just to wait till next week.
Oh, people are hitting him in, mate. Don't you worry about that.
Okay. Keep hitting.
Yeah. It's a tight one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Effectively,
we need to. Solanke's the big
thing.
needle mover there.
Well, let's move. Let's do the wild card, mate. Come on, bring your goods out.
Which one do you want to see first, Salah or Haaland?
Haaland.
I mean, they're the same, so let's just do this. So, this is the wild card right now. So, I have got a goalkeeper pairing of Raya and Neto. For those that are listening, the path is quite clearly wildcard 27, free hit 29. So don't worry that I haven't got a keeper for 29 because I will have one. And then bench boost 37 is pretty much secured there. In terms of defense, Gabriel, Van Dijk, Gusto, Doughty, and Senesi. So I'm covering my double game weeks in 28. I've got Van Dijk for the good fixtures he's got, and I can bench him next week, no problem, which is nice. Same with Gusto, absolutely. And having Gusto in place now is good because Chelsea's fixtures out the back of 30. There's just lots of fixtures there, and they're good fixtures, really good fixtures.
Yeah, you're buying an extra fixture on everybody else.
Yeah.
So come game week 30, Chelsea have the most fixtures.
Yeah, exactly.
Albeit one of those doubles you're buying him for defender is against Tottenham.
Yeah, we can. Well, yes, there's a plan to move Spurs players out though. Like Spurs players are going to move out Like come like
No.
game week 32,
That's not the
33.
point. That means that you're going to potentially, play and celebrate clean sheets against Tottenham, mate. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
No comment. I'm not celebrating those clean sheets. You know that.
Who's in your midfield? Is that a Chelsea player there?
Yeah, that's Palmer.
Yeah.
I've still got Partey. I can't get rid of Palmer because I've still got him
No.
from 4.9. He just stays forever, man. He's not a 5 million player, is he?
No.
He's an 8 million mid, basically. So he's in. He stays, of course. And then I've got Son, Maddison, Saka, and then Pascal Gross. So Pascal Gross is kind of like he's like a 1 week make way really for just game week 28 mainly.
He's getting 8 points every assist. So
he's smashing it to pieces anyway. I probably should have had him a few weeks ago when I was thinking about it.
And Pedro's out for the season.
Yes.
So he's now on for pens the rest of the season.
So that's the midfield 5, and then Watkins. So the discussion with Alon on Sunday basically just sold Watkins to me. Not that I think I needed selling on Watkins, but Watkins can move at a later time, and as much as probably a more optimal route is to if I'm free hitting in 29 is just to go without him. I just don't think you can go without him right now. So he's in. He's in with Solanke and Haaland. The captaincy is on Haaland for game week 27. I'm pretty pleased with the way this is set up. It should see me through to game week 32, 33 pretty comfortably. I mean, like really comfortably to like 32, 33. And then, transfers will get me through where I need to get through for the rest of the season. I could deal with that then. I'm not hugely focused on like 34 to 38 in my mind. I just can't in my head plan that far. And I think there's the opportunity that we have now with the information that we have. I just feel like the wild card will be worth more now than it will be later. So we were talking about it earlier briefly. There is a small possibility. Not that we've seen like small possibilities come true in terms of the fixtures for 29, etc. But there is a small possibility. If you've listened to James, even Krellin tweeted about it earlier, is that game week 34 could just be game week 34. Like all the teams that are going to blank at the weekend will just play in the midweek. In their same respective fixture, it could happen. So, if people want to be sitting there with a free hit for a non-normal or just a normal game week, then let them do that. Potentially, they can do that. Chances are it won't be, but I feel like if I can get like 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, just really, really hit those weeks hard.
Yeah.
Then I can get myself into a good position where I can then just to start consolidate pretty much because of the way the pricing is now and the quality of some of the cheaper players that we have. I don't think bench boost 37 is going to be a big deal. And actually looking at some of the fixtures, I mean, they don't even look like they don't even look that enticing, even like the predicted ones. So, we use FPL.team. I use FPL.team. We use FPL.team. So shout out to Peter for those. But if you look at the fixtures that James puts on there, like the doubles are really crap. Like actually, they're not that great.
Like, they're not that great.
And all the good ones are from good teams where you're going to have the players anyway.
Mm.
So I don't think it's going to be too difficult to get to I don't think it's going to be too difficult to get to a squad in game week 37 that is worthy of a bench boost. Needing a wild card to get there. I just don't think you need a wild card to get there.
A couple of prods for me. I can't help but do a prods because I've not been here. But just on Senesi, obviously he's on his 8 yellows, well publicised 8 yellows.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem for you. I mean, obviously he could get booked this week and then suddenly it's like
Then it's yeah.
But even more so, if he got there's a fair chance that he gets to 10. Let's say he gets to 10 in game week 32. He could miss game week 34, where he's potentially got a double.
Yeah.
You also, from a blank perspective, like Tottenham are one of the bigger teams for blanks. So you've got two midfielders.
Yeah, I think the Tottenham thing though, if you look at like game week 33's Newcastle, then it's City, then it's Arsenal, and then it's Liverpool. Like how?
But there's only so many transfers you got. So if Senesi
I know.
and two of those ones, and there's a chance that Pascal Gross blanks in 34. So when you're not going to be free hitting in 34, but a load of others are, you could be a bit up against it on those ones. So like Senesi, you could do Zarbani. Zarbani's playing every single minute of every game.
Yeah.
His baseline tiny. It's like 12.6 versus 12.2, but Zarbani's is higher. You're nowhere near those ones. He doesn't do the goal threat. Doesn't do the goal threat. That like Senesi's doing like half a shot a game, which is a big number compared to like 0.2 for Zarbani. But if I was wildcarding this week, if I ended up doing it, I would go Zarbani over Senesi for it, just because of the nailed on games. Because you just don't. He wants to then like you want him in game week 34 because they've got obviously you're buying 13 fixtures from Bournemouth, and you're going to get all 13 fixtures because you won't need them in 29 because you're free hitting. So therefore, when they do double, if it is 34, it is 37, it's going to be one of the two. You want both of them. You want Neto and that defender to play. So I would just have bodies for me, and it would be him. I'd even be tempted if you did once. No, I was going to say you could do like Zanesi and Zarbani, but you want Neto on that sense. And obviously, the only thing obviously is
who's the player that needs to come out? Who's the player that needs to come out for Kirkes? Who's the player that comes in for Kirkes? Is it Lloyd Kelly?
Yeah, but Lloyd Kelly's really good, so I doubt Kirkes plays.
He's really good, but he's injured.
Yeah. Lloyd Kelly gets injured a lot. I mean, Kirkes is the future. Lloyd Kelly's contract runs out. Surely, like Tottenham, have been strongly linked with him, but one, he's had some injury problems, and two, he's kind of running his contract down. So, they might just go in on Kirkes now. But like I say, Zarbani, he's never even like 90 minutes every single game he plays, like doesn't get subbed off, plays a lot. That feels the good one.
Yeah,
I
just had a quick look. Yeah, he's only on 4 yellows, so yeah, he's no risk.
Like no risk at all.
Yeah,
I think if I was going next week, I'd be like, and Senesi didn't pick up his extra yellow, then I'd be like, oh, Senesi, like because I want him for that, and I'm gonna like if I don't wildcard, then I'll be wildcarding him out anyway, probably. Yeah. But I think if I was like, this is me now, don't want that headache. I don't want that headache, so I just have the guy that's not anywhere near the 2 yellows and play. And yes, you might not get the double dream.
It's always a weird one though, because like, sure, he's had. I mean, 3 of his yellows have come in the last 4 games. So for the previous
he could just go
23 games,
I'm not going to do that stupid stuff anymore.
Exactly. You might just not get booked. You'll never get booked again.
Yeah. It's punting against the crowd going on the other one, but it can be a sensible play and it can work.
Yeah, I guess yeah, it's punting against the crowd, but then I'm also fighting against wild cards later on as well, where people will be able to get rid of Senesi if he then gets suspended or whatever, or probably will just get rid of him anyway.
Just as an early one, I think that would be
that's fair.
Something I would consider. And then the same with the gross one. Like again, like is there somebody even like Eze? Like it's a similar price, but almost like I'm going to double in 34 or 37, whereas Brighton might not even play.
To be honest, like Gross could even be like just Garnacho, because I'm looking for someone that's going to play every game, and I need to make sure that I do have. I don't want to be like trade like what's the word like selling down a Gross to free up more money so I can upgrade a Maddison, right? I don't want to be dropping money out of a different midfielder so I can upgrade another midfielder. So maybe Garnacho's the right one, and then just leave the money in the bank so that Salah is more accessible.
Yep.
That might be the play.
You've also, I'm assuming you haven't taken out Gordon yet either.
No. No,
You
so Alvarez and Porro are out. As of right now, those two are out, and Senesi and Solanke are in. That was purely because Alvarez and Porro were expected to drop, and Alvarez did.
You could just keep Gordon.
I could just keep Gordon. You
could just keep Gordon, mate. Yeah. He's still such a good asset.
I guess I was just trying to justify that. I need to make sure I've got more than like 10 transfers. Otherwise, like,
yeah, do you know what I mean?
What does a wild card look like if I just leave players in there?
It's similar on the Palmer one. You've got good value in Gordon. He's done really, really well for you. You must have.
I don't know whether I do. That's a good question. Hold on a sec.
You must have.
I mean, I sell him for 6. He's 6'1", so not really.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He's still 6'1". He's still a bargain.
Yeah.
You might get lucky again that he's on pens back again by that time because the forwards like to get injured again.
Yeah. So I don't have much value in him. So
I just think he's a really good asset. And again, you might get really lucky on the when the double drops in.
Yeah. That's where I am. I see some people just commenting on it there. Gordon is so good, mini Saka. Gordon's on 8 yellow cards.
That is a good point. Yeah. That is a good point.
People asking me why I don't have Doug Luiz. Probably because I feel worse. I don't know. I probably feel worse about not playing Doug Luiz than not playing Gross.
Yeah.
If I put Doug Luiz in now, what do I do? Right. So I have Doug Luiz away at Luton, and I have to do I bench him? I guess I do. But then do I play him next week at home to Spurs? I actually did run this through, and the best thing to do next week is to drop Maddison to the bench for Doug Luiz.
Well,
it's not the world's worst, right? But like in my mind, I can't quite process it as a Spurs fan. Go, oh yeah, I'll bench Maddison for Doug Luiz. It just makes no fucking sense.
Let me give you the story on that. It factored into my decision last week about Luiz v Prang.
Yeah,
was I knew that if I brought Doug Luiz in last week, then I was like, damn it, I'll end up dropping Richarlison in 28 and I'll hedge. Well, guess what I wish I'd done now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess what I wish I'd done now?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'd be 15 points up.
Yeah.
I'd make it'd be more difficult for you, I think, with Porro. I mean, I don't like that hedge. I've got no problem having two attackers from playing against each other. That's fine. It's just when they start impacting their points in a significant way, like a clean sheet, taking 4 points off a defender when you get it the other side.
We talked about it pre-pod, but Nandish mentions about getting the Chelsea keeper Petrovic, and I said that potentially with you rather than the Gusto pick, if you wanted to get an Arsenal defender, is something that is on the card. We know some Chelsea fans, Harry's off, the likes. Can you let Adam know whether you think Petrovic should be the number one?
Yes, please.
The big deal is that you want him for 37, so you're like, you're not just you're bringing him in for almost a game in 10 game weeks time, so you have to be really sure he's going to be number one.
Yeah,
that's the difficulty with him. But I like the Petrovic shout. I think it's a good one. I think he should be first choice from what I've seen. But Chelsea fans might be able to give us a bit more on that.
Yeah. So there's one of the comments just saying I can't see any upside in game week 29 free hit. Majority of people can get to at least 8 players with transfers and a couple of hits, whereas potentially in 34 you could be gaining an extra 6 to 8 games. I think 6 to 8 games is a lot of games. Like that's a lot of games in game week 30.
Because they don't play. The interesting one about saying that, and that's why I say people they undervalue getting 11 out in a blank game week. If you offered me 4 players with that I think I'm definitely getting, the game out of because it's close to the deadline, they're really relied on and so forth, as opposed to, let's say, I can get 4 extra doublers, but those doublers will also mean that I lose better single assets. So, for example, game week 34, you could say be ending up doing Bruno and then not having Saka. But Bruno's not as good an asset as Saka. And I'm like, do I want to have 2 Bruno but not have Saka, as opposed to, say, having Saka but also having Doug Luiz? And I'm like, probably have Saka and Doug Luiz, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, is the good thing about the free hit and the blank, if you haven't got enough players, is you definitely get more points. You definitely get more points by free hitting a team with 11 players than you do with 6, because you can just pick the same 6 players and add 5 more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's
But-
also true. And you're also picking players that generally, I mean, apart from Villa, Villa West Ham, like both teams are going to be just a bit shit because they're obviously they've got Europe. Although both teams are at home, so that's obviously a bonus. But no one else has a game midweek. Everyone else has got a week off. Whereas all the teams that you want your doublers for in game week 34,
if it happens,
because you're assuming that these doublers as well are, well, I suppose these are going to be the ones that are not in the FA Cup, right? So, you know, it's probably not going to be City. It's not going to be, it could be Arsenal. But then Arsenal will have played twice in Europe. Like they've been playing every 3 days for since pretty much since the international break. They come back and they just play every 3 days.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of fixtures here. There's rotation that could be happening potentially. There's all sorts of things that could happen, and that is literally 7 weeks away, 8 weeks away, seven weeks, 7 weeks away. It's got to be 7 because that's how long it is to the golf day. It's a long way away, and the information that we now have, we will have for game week 29. We know, and yeah, as you say, I mean, I don't know how does the fixtures line up on game week 29 in terms of time. So there's 3 games on the Saturday, and then West Ham Villa. You kind of just know who you're going to pick from that one anyway. So yeah. I think it's good enough. I think game week 29 is good enough. And as you say, like having 8 players and taking 2 hits means you're literally 14 points down on everyone, without even starting.
Unless you get lucky on Luton, because you're potentially getting, extra game, because you've got to go early on Luton, haven't you? You've got to go. You're thinking, oh, I'm getting an extra fixture out of 28, and then I'm playing a game. I've got to play in 29.
Yeah.
So it's potentially you can get lucky in that space. But the danger of pushing to get that is that you also don't get Bournemouth, who have got one of the best doubles the world's ever seen.
Yeah.
Like you're going to go in by being 27, 29. It's really easy for you to be triple up on Bournemouth. It's not so easy to be triple up on Bournemouth and also not have a load of players that you don't want if you don't free hit in 29.
Yeah.
Because you come to me on mine.
Let's look at your team, because we're like an hour and 20 minutes into our, short midweek pod that we do.
Yeah, well, it's not short. It's a big week.
It's game, man.
So I made a move last night. The shortly-lived Hwang went out to Heung-min Son. Looked like he might rise. Don't know why I felt I needed the money, because I've still got loads of money in the bank. But I've made the move, knowing that regardless, that was probably happening now. I was always planning that one of Hwang or Garnacho would likely go back out for Son this week. I was hoping that one of them would get a game in 29. Neither of them got a game in 29. So that, just big Doug regrets. So I'm in a position where I've still got Dubravka, Variola. I've got the 2 Arsenal defenders, which is fine. I've got Porro in the team currently. That doesn't look ideal.
Not
Aki
perfect.
Aki could come in for Porro, so I'm not overly concerned about it. I'm more concerned about general numbers because I then have Foden, which is fine, Son's fine, Saka's fine, Watkins is fine, Haaland's fine, but I've got Solanke and Richarlison as my other two. So as it stands here, if Porro, Richarlison, and Solanke don't play, well, my free to come off the bench are Aki, Garnacho, and Kabore. That ain't gonna fly. So that's not gonna work. So I really need kind of two of these to play.
It feels
I
unlikely.
think it does feel quite unlikely. Which would mean, one of them maybe. Solanke looks like the most hopeful.
Yeah.
But if we go tomorrow through the pressers and suddenly I don't have Porro, Richarlison, and Solanke, I might have to look at wildcard because, like you say, my team has been geared up to not free hit in 29. Everything about it has been to not free hit in 29. And then that rug might have been pulled away from me, and I end up with a team that's not perfect for 28 because I've not been able to go in on Bournemouth players because I'm trying to work towards playing in 29 and wildcarding as late as possible. It all, the house of cards all comes down because Hwang, Porro, Son, and not Son, Richarlison, and Solanke are potentially all out. So it's a problem. It's a problem. What will I do? Wow. If Solanke's fine, then I doubt I wildcard because I can play Solanke and Aki, and I can play Garnacho. I don't
Yeah.
like it, but even Luton scored a couple of goals against them this week. He could do something. I will, if I feel confident enough that Porro and Richarlison will be fine for 29, then I'll probably plow on with the no free hit 29 plan, which would probably mean that I will hit Garnacho to Ross Barkley because Villa are an appalling defence. They join us in the team of doing okay in the league, but are very bad defensively. So I don't mind playing him home to them. I get him from a double. I like the fixture versus Forest. He got 2 assists the other night against Man City. He's doing the stuff.
I,
Um,
I get it. I get it. I mean, at the same time, like I asked you to read that back to me earlier when you sent it to me in WhatsApp. Like, I might take a hit to get Ross Barkley. Like, it just.
but it's one hit to get 4 games out of him. Like it's as
Yeah,
opposed
I
to
suppose.
none. Like it's a fine. I have no issue with it, and I'm almost certainly I don't expect my team to work past 31 in terms of wild card. Like, I know
Yeah,
people are saying about 35, but I feel like it's a don't free hit in 29 and wild card 31. That's where my team has been worked towards the whole time. I now don't have that option. Like that, I've I say I spent all season literally saying last week on the pod, I've had 13 injuries in 26 weeks to my attackers. Here
yeah.
we go again. Here we go again. It's repeatedly killing me. So I've got to try and do something um here, to either do it or I could be tomorrow night wildcarding.
You might want to have a
Because
look
like you
and see if you
say,
can plan first.
you can't just go -8 this week and -8 next week, whatever, and then still not have the best team this week or next week to then get 8 players out in game week 29 to then wildcard anyway. Doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, even when I was looking, I'm not sure whether I mentioned this earlier or pre-pod, but even when I was looking at ways in which that I could get through 29 whilst wildcarding, like it's like everything tells you, you're going to get like 7, 8 players. That's the best you can get. I mean, you don't have to take any hits wildcarding, but you're getting 7 or 8 players.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a couple of
So,
options. Obviously, I don't have to go Barkley. I could go Palmer because I'm obviously going to need him back at some point. You're obviously going to need him back post 30 because look at that. But then
but then if you're
that would be
wildcarding, you'll
more,
get him anyway, wouldn't you?
yeah. If I thought I was wildcarding at 35, then Palmer suddenly is the better
Yeah,
option.
yeah,
I
fair.
could I could do Bowen, and it's more of a cover play in the fact that you could argue that Bowen's fixture next week um home to Villa again. I think it's still a good fixture in 29 is an option. I've got the money there, but it's then using a lot of the money. It would then mean if I used all the money for Bowen, then if I want to get Tony in 29, which I would, I'd have to sell Haaland. Whereas if I just did Garnacho to Barkley, then I can do Solanke to Tony in 29. That's easy.
I suppose because we've been hokey cokeying, well, not hokey cokeying, but we've sold Haaland and we've bought him back. There's probably how much do you have built into Haaland already?
Oh, probably pretty much pretty quickly, mate. Like he hasn't stopped rising, has he?
It is bizarre, but yeah, no, he hasn't. You're right.
Um, Bought Haaland at 13.9, 14.4. I don't really want a hokey cokey Haaland.
No, 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 definitely
So
not.
then Bowen's like might have to be the one that I take on.
Yeah,
So yes, it's likely. I mean, hopefully, somehow magical. I don't need to do that, and only one of Paro, Richarlison, and Solanke's out. Which, if they are only one of them, then I'll just play Aki. All good.
yeah.
But if two are out, it's Ross time. If three of them are out, it's wildcard time.
Sounds like a good place to leave it, mate. Unless anyone has any questions at all, or any other comments about how good my wildcard is, how bad my wildcard is, what you guys are doing yourselves. Those who can't play sports, is Poro probably out? Yeah, we think so, but we say we haven't really seen him. If you want to go back to the start, when we're talking about Tottenham, when we've got the Rob T graphic up, you can go back to there, and then we talk about basically what we've seen from training pictures and everything else this morning. John's in here doing the heavy lifting. If you do, if you haven't done so already, make sure you drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, and journey to 10k. So hit the subscribe button so you know when we're live. We're live twice a week, as always. Big week this week, wildcard. So,
Big week.
Yeah, I'm really glad I did hold off on it now, like just for a few weeks, and it's slightly outcome based, I guess. And I may have had a look at some of the other people that did wildcard in 24 and see how they've done over the last few weeks. And
You're a terrible person.
Disgrace. I'm an absolute disgrace. I looked at one person, they wildcarded at like 350k, they're now 600k.
You're like the opposite of team dependent. You're like, it's not. It's like everything's an angle. Everything's an angle. I'm going to use that against you in every single way. What you do is definitely worse than what I do. Like if I can prove
I've
it,
kept that person anonymous. So
yeah.
I'm not calling him out. No chance. Jammer says it's a better wild card than I thought a game week 27 wild card would be. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. Benjamin says on wild card 27 free hit 29. Is that okay to use 2 chips quick? I hope so, because that's what I'm doing.
Have you considered at any point doing like a 27 bench boost 28? Just get it done and just smash through them.
No,
I think it's the Tottenham Villa bit that does me in for it. That's probably the bit that I don't like.
How does that even work? I don't even know if I've got the team. Have I got the right team on my thing? So how's it? So yeah, I have got it here. So yeah, it's like so it'd be basically bench boosting Raya, Gusto, Madison, Van Dijk. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the worst, but I don't think it's the best.
It's not enough.
It doesn't feel. Enough. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's enough. I feel like I want
especially when
fixtures.
We don't know what the game week 37 fixtures are.
Yeah,
they just could be too good.
Yeah. FPL Spartan says, "Is it Andy Martin?" No, it's not Andy Martin.
No, it's not.
It's not Andy Martin. It's a wild card for a fireball. I mean, like, I don't know what it'd have to be if it was a fireball on Sunday.
So there's a lot of injuries this week.
Yes.
It definitely means there'll be some hits. What if you get a red arrow on wild card, do you have to fireball?
Fine.
Next Thursday, because it's Monday pod. So
Is it?
no, Monday game. It's a Monday game. Sorry,
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Monday game. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so yeah, yeah, because I could actually just be on a red arrow because I've got 3 players and my captain playing on Monday potentially.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
but
go.
I am
So next
probably going to
next Thursday, if you're on a red arrow, you're fireballing. On that note, we're done.
We're done. Cool, man. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, subscribe on the way out. Golf day. Thanks to Crypto Block Dan. Thanks to Sports Social. Thanks to everyone who joined us in the live chat. See you Sunday.
Good luck, mate.
Cheers, mate.